Hello world, this is Stefan of Lendigan Games. I'm usually more focused on trying to make a game, but this is something I just need to get off my chest. After this, I'm going back to working on my next game that revels in hatred and prejudice. Now this seemingly insane title needs an explanation of what a god is. Simply put, I don't know what a god is, and neither do you. In fact, if you want to play along at home, complete this statement. A god is a blank that blank. Bonus points if your answer survives the question, is it still a god when it stops doing that? One of the more common definitions is that a god is a powerful spirit, but in terms of what is and is not, we aren't able to measure whether or not gods are spirits. Instead, the only agreeable definition falls under, I know it when I see it. We mortals actually take a lot for granted when we arbitrate godhood. On a side note, the dictionary clears up nothing because the definition of a god is that it's a deity, and the definition of a deity is that it's a god. With that, I assure you I'm not making any authoritative statement, but instead a purely scientific one, which is a theory to best tie together the available information. Before we move forward, I do need to address the long-standing human tradition of assuming gods to be people. Firstly, that assumption is neither unreasonable nor completely wrong. When humans think of sentient life, their available frame of reference is humans and only humans, so when they think of a higher consciousness, it's inescapable that the image of that higher being is like a human, or at least noticeably so. In regards to why assuming that the god that exists as a person has some validity, that's because it is three people, and that does help explain why godhood is so hard to define. Picturing a single identity that's made of three separate identities is in fact impossible for us mortals to imagine because none of us have witnessed that in action. Thankfully though, we do have a usable analogy. 5 lions, 1 Voltron. Yes, the thumbnail is more than just blasphemy. Describing Voltron in terms of identity, Voltron is certainly a consequential presence within the show, but Voltron itself is not a character. Instead, he is a tool of the pilots as they work together in harmony. Is the God of the universe a creation of the power of the three people combined? Somewhat, but definitely not exactly. Like I said before, none of us have witnessed the operation, so none of us know definitively. That now brings us to the title. The line of thought started for me when I wondered, if God is love, is the reverse also true? Fortunately, unlike gods, love does have a definition, that being the desire for community. The idea of 3 persons, 1 desire for community was an easy enough step for me. The final step came when I realized that the theory best tied together the information. Love itself has 3 parts, and without all 3 together, no parts happen. Those 3 parts are the lover, the beloved, and the act of love itself. Thus, in order to be love, God has to be a trinity. Incidentally, this also answers the question, why does Sky Daddy care what you do in your bedroom? Besides the loving father answer that the bedroom is the most popular place for humans to get themselves in trouble, there's also the personal connection because the bedroom is where his Voltron is summoned most expressly. That said, please keep in mind that the analogy helps to imagine 3 organic wholes, 1 composite whole, but love is both a composite and an organic whole. Of course, this does beg the question, if God itself is not a person, then who is the God that spoke to the prophets? With that, we run into the limitations of mortal language. Namely that mortals don't have words for things that never happen inside the mortal universe. And to communicate with mortals, a god has to use words that mortals have. The short answer is that the prophet spoke with Sky Daddy, whom I'd wager is qualified to speak on behalf of the other 2 parts. Nonetheless, the limits of language come back into play with the question, if each person is God, why are there not three gods? For that, we actually turn to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton, who said that it depends upon what the meaning of the word is. We don't know to what extent nor in what way each person actively is God, and I'd also wager that the way it works is a way that doesn't happen inside this universe. With all that said, I honestly don't expect this to change any lives. Academics have long questioned what God is, but outside of smug know-it-alls that are not me, God's actions instead of its identity have all the noticeable effects on daily life. As for my own life, that the wanton and self-indulgent disrespect from popular love songs might be blasphemy is just one more reason for me to hate them.